my god, this is bound to be a controversial video. Hello everyone, and tonight we are discussing a very controversial subject within the Destiny 2 community. I can already hear the dislike bar growing, and the video isn't even posted yet. Nevertheless, I feel this is a subject that needs touched on. Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten are the notorious Crucible Pinnacle weapon hand cannons that have caused massive debate between players. Many players feeling that these guns were giving an unfair advantage to players that were already good in Crucible, which furthered the divide between a bad or decent PvP player and a good or great PvP player. Mainly citing things like their optimal time to kill and Magnificent Howl's ability to 2-tap a Guardian. On the other end of the spectrum, players that supported leaving these guns as is stated that due to the incredibly difficult grind to get these weapons, as a Pinnacle weapon, they should be equally powerful, and as a Pinnacle weapon, it makes sense that they be in the class of best PvP weapons. Also stating that the guns are only so good due to player skill, and that players using these guns would likely kill someone else with a different weapon as well. I personally feel that on both sides of the argument, there is some misconception as well as outright incorrect arguments. I feel that this has led Bungie to change these guns in a bad way, and ultimately has opened the way for a dangerous path moving forward. So let's start out by breaking down the current planned changes. The first major change is that Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten are being changed from a 180 RPM hand cannon to 150 RPM hand cannons, and their firing speed and damage are getting changed to reflect that. Their other stats will stay the same. The other change is that Magnificent Howl is being changed so that after 2 headshots to proc the perk, you can only do a body shot to get the extra damage. These changes may not sound as detrimental to the gun as people are saying, but once you start to look at how this affects surrounding or related factors, it starts to become clear just how much this will change these guns. Currently, Luna's Howl has the following stats: 78 impact, 46 range, 61 stability, 41 handling, 58 reload speed, and under the hidden stats, we have 79 aim assist, 95 recoil direction, 60 weapon size, and 14 zoom. Not Forgotten stats are 78 impact, 46 range, 61 stability, 41 handling, 58 reload speed, and its hidden stats are 79 aim assist, 95 recoil direction, 60 weapon size, and 14 zoom. Now let's look at the Ace of Spades, which is the de facto Crucible 140 RPM hand cannon. Even though it has a slightly lower rate of fire, the difference is negligible between the two RPMs, so we can reasonably compare them. The Ace of Spades stats are 84 impact, 77 range, 46 stability, 46 handling, 47 reload speed, and its hidden stats are 70 aim assist, 100 recoil direction, 56 weapon size, and 14 zoom. Ace has a base impact of 84, not considering the roughly 33% damage boost Memento Mori gives the next 5 shots after a kill. It also has a base range of 77, which is considerably higher than Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten, which only have 46 range. The 46 range is actually pretty in line with other common Crucible 150 RPM hand cannons such as Spare Rations and Better Devil. Magnificent Howl allows for 2.3 times increased damage after landing 2 consecutive headshots for 3 seconds or until your next kill or miss, whichever comes first. This means Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten are able to guaranteed 3-tap enemies after proccing, and in very rare instances can 2-tap a Guardian so long as you're able to proc Magnificent Howl without shooting the round. This means you would either need to kill with the second headshot or get the proc and stop firing at the Guardian, which is a very bad idea, to aim at another Guardian within 3 seconds to land 2 headshots, which totals out to 188.1 damage. This means someone can only be 2-tapped if they are under 2 resilience, which to be honest you should be at least at 3 to avoid this type of situation with a lot of guns. To put this in perspective, Ace of Spades with Memento Mori active can 2-tap headshot a Guardian with 0 resilience. The difference in HP between 0 and 2 resilience is 4 HP. Since Memento Mori is far easier to activate and is indefinite in length so long as you stay alive until 5 rounds are fired, you're far more likely to get 2-tapped by an ace than Luna's Howl or Not Forgotten, and that's not even considering pretty much every player that was around for Forsaken already has Ace of Spades, while Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten are owned by a significantly lower amount of players. And around 7 months ago, it was roughly 0.16% for Not Forgotten and 2.5% had Luna's Howl based on information collected extracted from Destiny Tracker. Since Bungie does not have a way to tell the actual numbers, I'm not able to provide the exact current percentage. So pre-nerf, you're already more likely to get 2 taps by Ace of Spades than Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten. I feel the people complaining about this are overblowing just how much of an issue this is, considering it's such a situationally small possibility. I also want to touch on the difference between 180 RPM hand cannons on PC versus console. On PC, hand cannons are not affected by bloom, but on console, all hand cannons except 180 RPMs are affected by bloom. You might be asking, what is bloom? To paraphrase bloom, I found a great description from user OnlyIlls on Reddit. If you fire shots from a hand cannon without letting the reticle rest, then even if you shoot at their head consecutively, the bullets go in a different place than where you aim. Imagine a funnel getting wider the further it gets from you. That resets to a straight line every time your reticle resets. Then each time you shoot, the funnel goes wide. This means on console only, 180 RPM hand cannons like Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten are massively stronger to an unfair point, but on PC, these hand cannons were still on par with the others. The 180 RPM hand cannon issue on console actually extends to far more than Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten, and renders using anything other than 180 RPM archetypes, like purposely putting a handicap on yourself. Playing on PC, I personally knew that Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten were strong, but combating them was not so hard as long as you stayed out of their effective range or strafed to make it harder for them to hit their headshots, making those guns about as strong as Trust. With Bungie making a blanket nerf between all platforms, this means on PC, Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten will be put in a very bad place. To compare it, I feel like we will be seeing another Nova War post-nerf type of bad place. On top of the RPM being changed, which is only truly fixing an issue specific to console, by changing Magnificent Howl to require a body shot for its damage buff, it effectively punishes skill players for landing headshots, which is a key point to a precision weapon. Plus, it still allows a 3-tap kill with 2 headshots and 1 body shot, meaning they made this change specifically to stop a situation that statistically is rare enough to happen that you should probably go buy a lottery ticket if you manage to pull it off. In a sense, Bungie has made it easier to get the regular 3-tap kills while punishing players for their ability to aim. This change makes no sense to me and feels like they just made this change to satiate people complaining when in reality this just makes it easier to get the kills with Magnificent Howl active. How things currently stand for the next season, using Luna's Howl or Not Forgotten instead of Ace of Spades or any 180 RPM on console means you're putting yourself at a disadvantage since they'll not be able to compete. Considering their pinnacle weapons, these guns will be a lot like getting Redrick's Broadsword or Claymore. Looks cool and once in a while does great, but ultimately they are better and easier options. I feel that this change disrespects players and the time they put into obtaining these weapons by effectively making them weaker than guns that can be obtained much easier. Why bother improving to get to Fabled or even Legend if you know your reward is weaker than the weapon you use to get there? For players that already have Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten, it feels like a slap in the face. Now I want to pose a question. Did these 2 hand cannons need changed? I say yes. They needed adjusted in some way because currently they do provide an advantage that can't be competed with from time to time and creates a larger divide between player skill. I can fully understand why someone wouldn't want to try in Crucible if they know they're just going to get steamrolled with no chance of fighting back. I feel the direction Bungie took was way off the mark and ultimately is a band-aid over the gash that is why Destiny needs an Overwatch MMR type system in quick play and competitive, as well as why Bloom should be a mechanic fully universal to a platform or disabled altogether. This also highlights why balancing the game across all platforms instead of understanding console and PC aiming systems are far different and can't be balanced the same way. I wish I could go into more detail into this, but that's for another video or we'll be here all night. Ultimately, this nerf punishes players for being accurate, completely gets rid of the reason for obtaining these weapons, particularly on console, where they'll be at the greatest disadvantage since they'll now be affected by bloom while other 180 RPM hand cannons will still be free of it, and changes Magnificent Howl arbitrarily and accomplishes nothing but stopping an incredibly rare and unlikely instance from happening. Did they need changed? Yes. Was it the right way? No. The Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten issue highlights a core failure in Bungie's matchmaking and aiming system model. Unless that's fixed, there will always be another overpowered pinnacle weapon, except now players will have to take into consideration that the weapon may be nerfed excessively after the fact. This also concerns me for the future of Ace of Spades and Recluse, as both of these weapons are likely to be the next go-to Crucible loadout, and they are significantly easier to get than the current Godroll, Dustrock, and Not Forgotten combo. Those are my thoughts on this and my best attempt to try and break it down. Whether you agree or disagree, I want to see your opinions in the comments, and I'm well prepared for the dislikes. I feel as a player base, we need to have a legitimate conversation on this rather than just getting angry at each other. I will ask that you try and keep any debate civil, as no one likes to getting insulted or berated. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more content like this, feel free to smack that subscribe button. Have a great night, everyone, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.